It is the Final Word Women's World Cup Daily, day 15 for Lacuna Sports. Focus on your game. Lacuna has your kit covered. Adam Collins and Geoff Lemon back with you for the first time together since the first day of the tournament. Geoff is going to tell us all about New Zealand and Sri Lanka before we do anything else in 30 seconds. Geoff.
By rights, I should only get 15 seconds because we only had half a game. Sri Lanka did well in their batting innings. 100 partnership between Atapattu and Gunaratne at the top. It wasn't the fastest, but it was a good base. And then Pereira and Samaravikrama put on another 60-odd together, got them up towards 200, but they finished with a bang. Nilakshika Silva, the fastest 50 of this World Cup so far. 55 not from 28 balls. I think the 50 was up 24, 25. It was quite a striking performance. They got up to 258, which could have been a fair bit to play with at home. And then the rain came in and they got washed out. Sri Lanka, 2 points from washouts and none from wins. But New Zealand might have been spared today.
I don't know how to conceive of this because, you know, two washouts maketh a win. So, I mean, on that basis,
I reckon they could have won today, though.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, that was a good score to defend.
But I mean, in the way, if you had said to Sri Lanka at the start of the tournament, you'll take 2 points from your Australia and New Zealand fixtures, they're probably biting your hand off, right? Let's be honest.
Sure.
That means that one of the two teams, the world champions in the 20-over format and the greatest team ever assembled in Australia, one of them have dropped to them, right?
Okay.
New Zealand, on the other hand, this is a game they had to, like, remember,
Yeah,
oftentimes with New Zealand,
that.
they end up in a situation in a World Cup, they hit a hump where they have a virtual quarterfinal, right? And that always happens to New Zealand. They either sort of get over the hump or they don't. But to get to the hump in the first place, they've got to be beating the teams that are below them on the ladder, so to speak. They've got to beat, you know, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka at a minimum, and then one other, right?
Yeah,
and they've
got Pakistan yet to come, so that could get them to 5 points if they got that win. But then they've got India and England, so they've got to beat one of India or England, basically.
Yes, they've got to do as that old 2017-18 slogan was in Australia: beat England.
Beat England.
The old beaten gland.
Beaten gland.
Once had the hashtag a long time ago now. Why is that in my brain, Geoff? Why does that live in my brain?
There are many hashtags that don't work because there are reasons that we have spaces. There are reasons that we put spaces in words. You know, the Super Bowl versus superb owl is one of those hashtags that can be confusing. There's a range. I used to know some people off the internet a long, long time ago who, for a fair degree of time, in all seriousness, thought that my online handle was Jefflemon because they were like, the Jefflemon, like they just didn't read it as Geoff Lemon. It makes sense when you're looking at it.
So I didn't know that. I must admit, when I first happened upon you, I didn't know entirely that Geoff Lemon was your real name. I thought that it was plausible. That could have been a bit of a bit.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it is with you.
Maybe.
Who knows what your real name is?
Maybe.
Look, I just want to finish. I just want to close out my point that, yes, in a way, it looks bad for Sri Lanka, who had an opportunity today. But another way of a more defensive, more conservative approach is that, look, they have batted well. They are in the tournament with the bat. Getting 258 for 6 against New Zealand's not nothing, remembering that New Zealand have a number of bowlers there who are of world class. And Chamari Atapattu, and as you mentioned before, there are a number of them there. And they'll look back on that performance against India and they'll regret not doing better with that. But they did keep their net run rate broadly in check that night as well. So it isn't completely a write-off for them so long as they, I mean, of course, a lot's going to need to go right, but they need to get on a roll themselves. But this isn't the worst way of doing so, batting well and getting a point.
I guess that's a consideration, is that net run rate doesn't move, does it? If you, in an incomplete match, there's no net because you can't compare your run rate to the other team so they'd stay where they are. So the other thing of getting a win is it would improve your net run rate. So Sri Lanka have Bangladesh and Pakistan yet to come. If they're serious, if they're a real deal, they've got to beat those two teams.
Correct. Yeah.
And they've got South Africa, who they've beaten before. It's not like they can't beat South Africa. We saw South Africa wobble as hard as they did against Bangladesh last night. So Sri Lanka are a chance. They're maybe not a Jim Carrey. You know, they're not a million to one chance. They're a slightly better chance. They're not a 1 in a million.
Who was Body Jar? No chance, 1 in a million. It's better than that. It's better than Dumb and Dumber with Jim Carrey.
Yep.
I reckon there are if you were visiting it, there are 12% chance of making the semis.
Even if they lost to South Africa, they could still get to 6 points via Bangladesh and Pakistan, which, if other results went their way, could maybe be enough to sneak into fourth. Who knows?
The dream outcome is that we have a whole series of teams on about 6 points, right?
Yeah.
That it goes all the way down to the wire. Admittedly, net run rate won't resolve everything. It's head-to-head first, isn't it, in World Cups these days? But still, it's noteworthy.
Yeah. So there are 3 teams who've already got to 6 or more, and then there's India on 4 points. That's the way it is at the moment. So what I found interesting about the game today, Adam, is that so Chamari Adapatu got off to a fast start, went after them early, lashed the ball through the offside a fair bit, got to sort of mid-30s at faster than a runner ball, and then got to 50 and slowed right down. They ended up with 53 off 72. I think sort of looked around her and tried to think about, well, not specifically, but maybe wanted to play an innings a bit more like what Elisa Healy played the other night, where you've got the fast start and then you consolidate. But that consolidation meant that things slowed down. By the time they brought the 100 up, they were into the 24th over. And then Sophie Devine comes on, and it's that, it's the talisman thing. The captain bit, and draws the wicket, draws a false shot. Maddie Green takes that catch, and then Gunaratne was out soon after. Much slower innings from Gunaratne, 42 off 83. Really happy to take the time in the manner of say Bangladesh last night. And then that consolidating partnership was relatively slow as well between Pereira and Samara Vikrama, but they got things close enough, and I think this has been the surprise. So we saw it with Shauna Akhtar in the Bangladesh game last night. She came out and smacked 50 off 34 balls, and then Nilakshika Silva tonight, who has been she's not a new player anymore. She was a new player about 5 years ago, but she's still what I think of as the new generation, because there are so many very senior players in this, almost senior citizen players in this Sri Lankan team, that she's someone who brings that kind of energy and pep. And that's what she did today, to come in and say, even though we've batted pretty slowly through the first 40, 42 overs, I'm going to put the hammer down at the end. I mean, she didn't walk in until, when was it? It was deep into the innings. It was the 42nd over when she came in, and was able to race to that 50, hit a boundary out through that mid-wicket pocket early, used her feet well, hit a big 6 down the ground, kept finding 4s and picking them off, and New Zealand looked a bit threadbare by the end of that.
Yeah, and look, she came into the tournament with runs, 75 against Bangladesh in the warm-up, and 3 scores, right? 35 against India, 23, and now a brisk 55 not out. So, yeah, I mean, look, it feels like she's relatively new to the setup. I mean, objectively, she's not, but it's an emblem of where we're not just having a conversation about one cricketer in Sri Lanka's team anymore, which is obviously an extremely good thing. I think about when teams have matured and have reached the next level. It's been when you've got 4 or 5 working in concert, and that's a story of professionalism and a story of development. And it was the middle overs, though, wasn't it? When it was the Kerrs bowling in tandem, 17 overs for 74, right? And that's, that those two mentioned before, world-class bowlers. There's a pair of them in that New Zealand group in Jess and Amelia Kerr, or Amelia Kerr, I should say, rather than Amelia these days, although the scorecard still identifies her as Amelia.
But I
because she goes by Amelia, right?
I find this one weird now. This is almost Hall of Fame territory, but they've started on the TV graphics, they've started listing her as M. Kerr, and it's not her name. It's her nickname, but her name is still. It's not like she changed it.
Well,
had she changed her
fascinating.
name,
where do we? Well, Geoff, I think you and I in our history program have talked about players that have ended up with names that aren't their name.
Yeah.
Monkey Hornby being the most obvious.
Yeah. Right. But if Monkey Hornby's on TV today, remembering that Monkey Hornby batted in the Ranji Trophy only 6 months ago, according to Cricket Info. If Monkey Hornby's on TV today, is it M. Hornby or is it A.N. Hornby?
Yeah.
What are we?
He didn't bat in the Ranji Horden Trophy game.
No.
Another one of those.
Or the Horden Pavilion.
Yeah.
But because she's Amelia on the scorecards, if you look up her, one of the commercial scorecards, that's still her name. She didn't change her name. People are allowed to change their names, and I support that if that's what you've done. Yusuf Yohana changed it up. Fine. No problem with that.
I see you copped a whack on social media for last night suggesting that New Zealand should be batting Amelia Kerr at 8.
No, I didn't say they should be batting her at 8. I said in a proper cricket team, she wouldn't be needed to bat until 7 or 8. She's their primary bowler. She's their primary bowler, and they've turned her into one of their top order out of desperation because they don't have any players. That's the point I'm making. Not that she's not good. She's a good player, but she's supposed to be your most important bowler, who therefore you don't also want having to try to be your number 3 or 4.
Well, actually, you know what we'll do? In the absence of meaningful Hall of Fame, we'll cast forward in the second segment of the show. On the way through to it, Lacuna Sports.
I've got one. I do have one Hall of Fame.
Okay, no, good as gold. Lacuna Sports, though, we're getting great feedback from Lacuna and from our people and from their people. And it's a big old group hug for this is perhaps the best brand alignment we've ever had with an actual product, which is terrific. So, look, we want women in teamwear and girls in teamwear that fits. Our ask is for cricket clubs to pay attention to what we're saying and, more importantly, what Lacuna are saying. This is the time of year. Do you know what I did today, Geoff, for an hour after we recorded that other podcast?
Bowl.
I didn't bowl. What did you do when the all-you-can-eat seafood restaurant was closed? And you drove around for 3 hours. We went fishing. Well, I did the equivalent of going fishing. I started doing our fixture list for 2026. I went fishing. And if I were running a women's division in our Sunday team, which at this stage we don't have, but one day I would love to have, I would make sure they were kitted out appropriately. A Sunday game I did play, however, see this long segue I'm going with here, was Gunnersbury Women for the Cricket Media Club, another team I play for. We celebrated their centenary anniversary this year. They're the oldest...
Gunnersbury or the Cricket Media Club?
No, the Gunnersbury. The Cricket Media Club since 1947.
Okay.
Gunnersbury Women for a century, the oldest women's cricket club, maybe in the world, certainly in England.
Basically the cradle of England women's cricket through the 30s well as it becomes Test cricket is where all of the formative women who got together, who got that team going and who made women's Test cricket a thing in the 1930s, along with their Australian counterparts. The English ones were mostly centred around Gunnersbury.
And some stars that have played in recent years as well. Naomi Datani, who's still a member at Gunnersbury, who was part of our world many years ago, Geoff, as a co-host on White Line Wireless when we used to broadcast from your living room in Brunswick. So our links to Gunnersbury are deep. And yeah, we can tell you about them. They've got they're a club who bought lots of kit for their special centenary year, and they worked with Lacuna to develop additional styles, which are now part of their range. So, it works both ways. You can work with Lacuna, what's working for you, what's working for them, and it can be to the advantage of girls and women all over the place. Hello to Elsa Barnfather, who smashes everywhere and hit 100 and took a 5 for against us that day, who was gone on to have a great season with Kent. And to, I think she's their club captain, Kylie White, who is the quintessential Australian player in England. She was yapping at us all day in the best way, sledging us with bat, sledging us with ball, and a joy to play against. So hello, Kylie, if you're listening from Gunnersbury as well. Geoff, on that note, lacunasports.co.uk. Check it out. If you're a club secretary or you're on the committee, you've got to do the right thing this winter. Get Lacuna Sports in for your girls or women's section. Back in a sec with the Hall of Fame. Tis the Final Word Daily, day 15. It's me and him. Got to wrap up and get my girls in a sec. Geoff, what's going on?
What's going on? Hall of Fame. There was just this one shot from Nilakshika Silva, and it was more about the boundary. So Sri Lanka were really good at finding the sweepers today. They kept cracking the ball straight to the sweepers in the deep and running one, and I was finding this frustrating. And there was a point during those last few overs where De Silva goes down, powerful sweep shot, absolutely caned it out through deep backward square leg, and it was Brooke Halliday, I reckon, who was on the rope out there, perfectly in place for it, gets down, long barrier, all the rest of it, and then just has the ball spin away at the last minute, spin away, hit the rope, and it was the third bounce. They're always like, watch out for the third bounce, and it went straight past her, and she was...
I love that, the third bounce, watch for the spin, yelling from, when the outfielder's trying to stop the ball. Very relatable experience. I'm just going to throw forward, Geoff. Now, the next game in the tournament is England playing Pakistan. Might that be a banana peel when England play at Colombo tomorrow? Let's hope the rain stays away first and foremost.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Daniel gave me a detailed, I spoke to Daniel on the phone, a detailed run through of the way that the rain came today. And the, that sort of like day ending rain at Sri Lanka that we're well familiar with. You and I have seen many times when covering men's cricket over there. That eventually got there, but there was 2 storms that preceded it that weren't game ending. Well, let's hope there's no rain at all tomorrow at the Prima Dasa. So that's England, Pakistan. Can it be a banana peel? Can Pakistan belatedly get themselves into the tournament? New Zealand are playing Pakistan, also at Colombo. That's on Saturday. And Sri Lanka's next outing is against South Africa, who've won 2 close ones recently, also in Colombo. Everyone's having a party in Colombo. Dimuth Karunaratne is in there in the pool with them right now. Probably not. Pool. That wouldn't be appropriate.
Lilo. He's on an inflatable Lilo. He's cruising around on his back, sunglasses on. The Lilo is shaped like a big slice of pizza.
And by saying it's not appropriate, I'm not casting aspersions. So simply that if there were 33 cricketers in the pool and just Dimuth on his own, that might jar. Anyway, Geoff, I've got children to pick up from school and nursery. You've got a doorbell ringing at your place. 15 minutes for a no result is about the right length of time for a podcast. It's all brought to you by Lacuna Sports. We're very proud to be working with them every single day of this Women's World Cup, and we'll do it all again tomorrow. Bye-bye.